Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with Padma Lakshmi, the well-known host of Bravo's Top Chef. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Andrew. How are you?
I'm fantastic. We have some questions of our own, plus some questions from our readers, so I'm just going to jump in. Yeah, first of all, the 10th season of Top Chef is coming up. Premieres in a few weeks on November 7th on Bravo. And you guys actually shot the season right here where we're located in Seattle. How did the change in location add a different dynamic to the show?
Well, we change locations every season on Top Chef, so I think it's one of the reasons that the show is still fresh. We like to have as much local color in the season as possible. I loved Seattle. I love being in Seattle. I hadn't spent much time there until I went there with the show, and it's just nice to be able to talk about it. I mean, honestly, when we were there, we were sworn to secrecy, although people would see me walking around the city,
right.
And it was just weird not to be able to say I was filming. And it felt so awkward. So I am relieved that they've announced that the show is in Seattle. I had a great time. I love Pike's Place. I loved all the crab. I love the salmon. And also all the cheese. I gained more weight on this season of Top Chef than I have in any other season because of all that beautiful, goat cheese that you have there. The Pacific Northwest is such a foodie place.
Right, we're notorious.
Yeah, I mean, I loved all the restaurants there. We went out constantly, even when we weren't working. And I love Melrose Market, as well as Pike's Place. I had a great time.
Very nice, very nice. Can you talk a little bit about the judging process of Top Chef? One of the top questions we got recommended to ask you was, are there times where you need to judge dishes where there are items that you don't like, but you still need to say they're good because they were executed well?
Yeah, I mean, look, judging Top Chef, it's food. It is a subjective process to some degree, but you can't fault a chef who's made a particular dish exactly as it should be made because you have a personal preference. If that is an excellent example of that dish, then you have to give them props for that.
Right. And what about the amount of food? And early on in Top Chef season, you have about 20 to 20, I think this time 21 chefs. How do you eat 21 dishes and still, not be full by the end?
Well, this is one occasion where you can't possibly clean your plate, for sure. I mean, you have to take a couple bites of each dish just so you're sure of what you think about that dish. But you have to remember that you have all these dishes coming ahead of you. So it's important to sustain yourself throughout the process. You have to pace yourself. You have to remember that this is endurance eating. And it's not easy, but that's why I think I'm uniquely qualified to do my job because I happen to have a bottomless appetite.
Oh, that's nice. All right, let's switch gears for a moment. Let's talk about fall entertaining because typically when I have guests over, I just throw open a couple bags of potato chips and I'm pretty proud of myself. So how can I up my game this season with fall entertaining?
Entertaining doesn't have to be that difficult. It's just a few touches and special flourishes on everyday normal things that make a party from forgettable to memorable and special. For instance, today we have this new Nespresso machine, which is the You machine, and it's called You because it's all about, enjoying a moment for yourself, especially during the fall when all we're thinking about is pleasing others. Whether it's a gift swap at the office or Thanksgiving dinner or a holiday cocktail party. We're always thinking about how to impress everyone else, but sometimes it's nice just to take a moment for yourself. And you can do that with just a cup of coffee. And I like the Nespresso coffee because you get a perfect cup of coffee every time. My association with this brand was very organic and happened over months of trying and loving these machines and really being skeptical. I am not a gear person. I don't like a lot of gadgets. I'm being very honest. And I was very afraid that I wouldn't be able to work this machine, even though they came and they just, taught me how to do it. But it's so super easy. You just basically take a little capsule. In this case, we're using Indria. Nespresso has 16 different Grand Crus or blends, and they make their coffee in an airtight environment. They grind it in an airtight environment and seal it in these capsules. So every cup of coffee is as fresh and as perfect as it's possible to be. Not only because there's not one single tiny grain of stale coffee, it's also measured out perfectly. And then they have like 3 original origins, pure origins, which means it's not a blend, it's just from one place. It's like a single malt scotch, right? So today we're using Indriya, which is from my hometown in South India. You'll see I'm just dropping this capsule in there and I'm closing it, and I don't even have to push any button. That's how simple it is. So this gear is perfectly tailored to me. While that coffee is brewing, I add things like today we're going to do a spiced coffee, like a pinch of cardamom powder. Green cardamom is something that's been used for centuries in the world's cuisines for mostly desserts, but also in Turkey for flavoring coffee. And then you basically, if you want some sugar, you can sweeten the coffee right there and then just stir that up. And then I do that first before I add my milk. And then I have this arancino thing here, which is wonderful, to add milk, to hot milk. That is the technical name, arancino thing. And then you just basically take a spoon and add some foam on the top, if that's what you like. And then you want to garnish with some crushed almonds, some crushed and roasted almonds that I've done by hand without any gear except a mortar and pestle. And then you just want to add a pinch of nutmeg. Again, nothing smacks of fall more than spices like nutmeg and cinnamon and cardamom. And an extra pinch of that cardamom on top. And there you are, you're done. And again, if you wanted to use soy milk or almond milk to reinforce that crushed almond flavor, you can. And this is a beautiful spiced cup of coffee that feels really special, that you basically saw me demo on a coffee table. So if I can do it, you can do it. And your guests will feel really special. And if you threw a little scoop of cinnamon ice cream, you would actually have a whole dessert right there.
That sounds amazing. It's too bad we're not in the same location right now because that sounds delicious.
I would have a cup of coffee with you. And you would smell, if we were in the same location, Andrew, you would smell this beautiful, luxurious aroma of ground cardamom, and you would feel like curling up near a fire.
There you go. That is the Nespresso U. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And to close us out, Padma, we know you just taught us a recipe right there. You actually are an accomplished cook yourself. You have a couple of cookbooks out there. And it seems like you love the aromatic spices. What are some of your favorite things to cook with or to cook?
I love spices. You know, we're talking about coffee today, and coffee is not only just for after the meal or at breakfast. I actually use the Nespresso Indriya ristretto, which is the shortest pour. I use that when I make glazes for pork roasts or beef brisket or even some lamb chops. You can just mix it with some honey and some chili, which I love to use. You know, you asked me what my favorite spices are: chili, chipotle, all that stuff, and I brush it on the roast and I cook it low and slow. So coffee can also be mixed into mole. You know, there are about 45 different ingredients in mole, coffee being one of them. In fact, I did a charity dinner, which was a black tie charity dinner at the New York Public Library for about 400 people, where we actually served some coffee chocolate mole chicken.
That sounds amazing.
It's yummy.
That's fantastic.
It's just unexpected and yummy.
That is amazing. You've now got our appetites going. We want to thank you so much, Padma, for spending a few minutes with us here live. Everybody, check out Top Chef Season 10 begins November 7th on Bravo. Padma, thanks again so much.
Bye. Take care.